Guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be discussing ARV and different strategies that I use to get an exact ARV on a property. So without further ado, guys, let's get into it. ARV stands for after repair value. Another word for ARV is FV, which means full value of a property. So if an investor ever asks you what's FV or ARV of a property, they're just asking what is the property worth after it is fully remodeled and listed on the market. So let's get into how to get your ARV. So first, I'm going to start off on Zillow. This is the example that we will be using on 42nd Place. It's a 1,300 square foot property. Key notes that you want to look at, and you can even write it down when you're looking at these properties, is just make sure you have all the information for the properties. You want to make sure that you know the square footage, you know the year build, you know the lot size. The area that it's in also plays a role. So for this one, we have a single family 1951 on a 7,500 square foot lot, closer to 7,600. So we're gonna look at the comps in this area. I'm first gonna go to the sold section here on Zillow. I'm gonna make sure I filter my property within around 20% of our square footage size. And I always go back 6 months. You don't wanna go back too much further than that because you wanna use what's recent because the market is always changing at this point. I have my filter set, so we're gonna take a look at what's in the area. You wanna make sure that you stay within your area. I never go more than quarter mile, half mile. So let's dive straight into it. So right here we have a 1,300 square foot house, no pictures. When running these comps, you're gonna run into a lot of properties that don't have pictures. Obviously you wanna look for the ones that do have pictures. That way you can get an idea of what's being remodeled and how much those are selling for. So right here we have a property that's a little bit smaller than ours, actually looks very similar. So another key note is you wanna make sure that they have some similarities as far as the curb appeal. If it's a brick style home or if it's wood framed or if it has a garage, things like that. You want to make sure that you look at the front of the property and just see what kind of build it is. So looking at our property, it has no garage. It is on a corner lot. Not the best curb appeal, but with this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to search it up on Street View just to get a look at the area, make sure that you know exactly what our property looks like and you're making sure that it has a garage and everything. So this one just has a driveway. So it gives us a good idea of what we're dealing with. So we're gonna go back here. We're gonna be looking at this 500 comp, taking a look at the pictures. It's kind of messy as far as the landscaping. Very clean. Bathroom is remodeled. So this property right here is gonna be our comp. So right there, we already have a 498. So we're gonna run it at 500 for now. So this one sold at 455. So one thing that I like to do when running these properties, you want to look at the price per square footage. So with that example that I just showed you, it sold at 455. So I'm going to run the calculation real quick. 455 divided by, it's 1190 square feet. That gives us a $382 per square foot. You want to times that by our exact square footage. So we're 1323. That puts us at 505. Remember, I had my ARV before at 500, and this puts us pretty much on the money. Now going back to the original comp that we had at 500, let's actually run this one because it is a little bit smaller than ours. So it's going to be 498 divided by 1237, which gives us our price per square footage at 402 times 1323. So in our neighborhood on the high end, it's looking at around 525 to 530. So right here we have a 425. That one sold same square footage as ours. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to realtor.com and look at these pictures because as I mentioned, sometimes they don't come up on Zillow. So this one has a pool. It's clean, nothing crazy. More of a custom style home, but they did remodel it. You can see the new cam lights. The bathroom's nothing special. And this one sold at 525. One thing when I was running my numbers is that this property right here that sold at 498, this property put us at 530 ARV. Based off the price per square footage. And this one is kind of confirming that, the 525 to 530. Knowing in today's market that the prices have gone up, I'm gonna run with that 525, 530 ARV. So there you have it. We just ran our property on Zillow. We're able to get a 525 to 530 ARV for our property. And just an overview, the things that we're looking at is the details of the property. Make sure you look at the curb appeal. And also make sure that you look at the minor details in the descriptions of comps. So make sure like if another property has a pool and ours doesn't, that's gonna devalue our property depending on the area. If other properties have a garage and we don't, we only have a carport or just a driveway, that's also gonna devalue our property. If our property is on a main street, you gotta keep that in mind too. Our property is in the neighborhood and it is a corner lot, so that does help our cause. So for our next example, I'm gonna be running this property on the MLS. If you don't know what the MLS is, this is just a tool that realtors use to find the value of their properties and find seller information. So here we have our example that we're going to be using for MLS. It's a property here on West Portland Street. So to begin with, one thing that you want to do is make sure you look at all the details. So this property says here it's 1170 square feet, 1940 build. It's on a 6,300 square foot lot. First, we're going to go to this comp tool. So this comp tool is useful for, instead of having to go through every property one by one to run your numbers, you can narrow down your search. So I usually go subdivision in the last 6 months. So we have 2 properties here, one at 205, one at 165. Similar square footage. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click the listing and see what kind of properties these are. So we have a 3-1, 1,100 square foot property. Not the greatest landscaping, pretty as is, but in this area, it's not the worst thing. And this property sold at 205. So that puts us right on the money. So this property sold as is at the 85% of the value. And the other one sold at investor price, which is 0.7% of ARV. So right now, I feel pretty confident in a 240 ARV. So that's just a different way of running numbers. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to the tax record because it shows the recent solds. I'm gonna see what's selling for in the 230 to 240 range. So right here we have a 600 square foot property that sold at 185. So 850 square feet, it's a 2-1. So this property is not that nice either. I mean, it's very small. So this one sold at 185, and I mean, in this area, it's pretty common that the properties are gonna look like this. So let's run a price per square footage. That puts us at 220. So worst case ARV for this property is 220. Those are quick examples to determine your after repair value and just kind of some key notes that I use to run these properties. So one thing to keep in mind, so when you're running these properties and you're talking to the seller on the phone, make sure not to go above and beyond to run the comps. Make sure just to get an idea of what properties are selling for and then shoot an offer based off 70% of that. So guys, again, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you really enjoyed this video. My next video is gonna be on determining the MAO. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, and comment below on what videos you want to hear next. I am replying to all my comments, and I appreciate the love that you guys have been showing. Again, this is Alex Saenz. You guys have a good one.